So good morning, everybody. I want to thank those that are here in attendance at our program in Louisville, Kentucky. Let me just thank those that have been sponsoring this Compass MS Care series all year. So we have EMD Serono, Sandoz, Biogen, Genentech, Banner Life Sciences, Novartis, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Sanofi. And I would like all of you all to say thank you by giving them a round of applause. Come on, let's hear everybody. Okay, great, thank you. Let me tell you, it is my pleasure to introduce Paul Pelland. He's a former top 10 motorcycle endurance competitor from New Hampshire who now travels the country raising awareness and funds for multiple sclerosis. His goal is to document riding 1 million miles while sharing his inspirational story at MS and motorsport events. Despite having MS himself, in 10 years he has ridden over 500,000 miles, set 4 world records, and has raised over $250,000 for multiple sclerosis charities. Please take a moment to welcome loudly Paul Pelland. Come on in.
Well, thank you, Stuart. Hello, everybody. Everybody at home, hello. This year, I am celebrating 18 years of living with multiple sclerosis. And yes, I said celebrating because it's been 18 years with no real signs of disease progression. Because of changes that I made in my lifestyle, I also feel healthier now than I did when I was first diagnosed. I'm also celebrating because I've decided that multiple sclerosis is not going to control my life or define who I am, ever. In fact, I'm using my MS diagnosis to return to a forgotten passion while raising awareness and funds for a cure. Like today, I got out of the house, I got to go for a nice long ride. I didn't have to cook breakfast or lunch, and I definitely won't be doing any dishes afterwards. So if I were home, I'd probably be getting the snowblower out of the garage and warming it up and making sure that it's all set to go. I don't think we're getting much snow, but on a motorcycle, a little bit of snow can be a little bit of fun. So, but instead of being home and worrying about that, I'm here and getting to talk to all of you. So, and this is all because I have MS. So there's a positive there. My course of the disease has been quite manageable, and I know that not everybody's MS is the same, but having multiple sclerosis should never be on a list of how we see ourselves or describe ourselves. MS is certainly not who I am, and MS is not who you are. If you look multiple sclerosis up in the dictionary, you're not going to see my picture. So make sure your picture never makes it there either. I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm an avid motorcyclist. As you know, this disease, symptoms, and the progression is different in every single patient. And in my case, the majority of my MS symptoms have been cognitive. Short-term memory loss, impaired planning, decision making, and short-term memory loss. Despite the hours and hours that I've spent preparing this presentation, I have no idea what slide comes next. But thankfully, we have some technology that can help us along. I also have some weakness and loss of dexterity in my hands, numbness, burning, tingling sensations, as well as some bladder issues, which are a lot of fun when you're traveling. Unlike the other presenter here today, I am not an MS expert, but as an avid motorcyclist who now travels extensively across the country, I found a way to navigate around the potholes in life. And by pursuing my passion, I was able to discover my life's purpose. Getting diagnosed with relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis certainly made me feel like I was on a dead-end street, but learning to apply some principles for properly riding a motorcycle, I was able to see how MS was just another part of my life's adventure, and I learned how to keep it from blocking my road to happiness. I've been riding motorcycles now for 30 years. I ride motorcycles like most people drive cars. I commute, I travel, I go shopping with my bike. I've ridden in all the lower 48 states, Mexico, and Canada, and Alaska. Riding a motorcycle to me is as natural as breathing. I found the therapy of riding motorcycles, riding long distances, a good way to escape from a bad marriage, a boggled divorce, and what became a monstrous 10-year custody ordeal. Pain, anxiety, anger, and fear all went away the more hours and miles that I rode. When I ride my motorcycle today, I feel like I don't have MS. By 2003, I had become one of the top long-distance motorcycle riders in the country, and I was at the pinnacle of my riding career. I was selected to ride in what's called the world's toughest motorcycle competition, the Iron Butt Rally. And although I managed a top 10 finish in this 11-day, 11,000-mile event, something happened during that ride, during that rally, that would forever change the course of my life. I don't remember arriving at the mid-rally checkpoint hotel, but I must have looked like hell because the rally staff ordered me to skip the mandatory riders meeting and go directly to my hotel room. They did manage to tell me, however, at that particular moment, I was currently in first place. I had prearranged to share a room with a fellow New Hampshire rider. The next morning when I woke, something was very wrong with me that sleep didn't fix. I had no strength in my hands. They were tingling and numb. I could not hold a pen. I could not sign my name. Was it the heat? Was it fatigue? Whatever the reason, I was also confused and disorientated, and I was unable to plan a good route for the next leg of the event. Later that morning, I came across an accident, and although the motorcycle was partially upside down, I thought I recognized it. So I stopped and I went over to the rider who was being helped by EMTs, and they asked me if I knew him, if I knew the rider, and I said yes. But suddenly, I had no idea what his name was. I was haunted for a couple of years by the fact that I could not remember a friend's name and the rider that I had shared a room with the night before. After finishing that event, my arm weakness and cognitive symptoms continued, and I eventually saw a neurologist who did a few office tests and said he was pretty sure that I just had, and I quote, crap for brains. But, he added, let's run a few more tests to rule out any of the bad stuff. When he later told me that my MRI scan was remarkable, I thought I was getting a lollipop or maybe a watermelon-scented sticker. But apparently remarkable meant something totally different in med school. They found 5 lesions in my brain. Unfortunately, the jokes were over, and we would not be ruling out the bad stuff. I retired from competing, I sold my motorcycles, and I gave up riding altogether. I tossed away my dreams, my plans for the future. I sold my small business, and I prepared for the absolute worst. Well, the worst that I had imagined, it never showed up, so I stopped waiting for it. I've been happily married for most of the past 15 years now. My kids have grown and moved away. I'm still able to work, and I've not had a major disabling attack for the past 15 years. 9 years ago, or actually 10 years ago now, I realized, although I may never be able to compete in those endurance rallies again because of the cognitive issues, I could still ride a motorcycle across the country. And that I had thrown in the towel on an event or a sport way too early that I loved. And in just a few months, my entire life's road was recalculated. And I'm now living out a great adventure documenting 1 million miles by motorcycle, raising awareness and funds while trying to encourage others with MS to rediscover a new path as well. Rediscovering long-distance riding and making it a central part of my life has created a wonderful and powerful environment for me, opening up doors like writing and speaking, abilities I never knew I had. So I would like to share with you today the 4 rules for riding a motorcycle that can also be used to navigate life, with or without MS. 4 simple words: learn, look, lean, and live. Before hopping on a new motorcycle, it's extremely important for me to learn about the machine, how it works, and how to take care of it. I need to learn the bike's limits as well as my own. It's equally important to constantly improve my abilities by taking refresher courses and learning from more experienced riders. I think we could learn about MS the same way, right? What it is, how it affects our own bodies, and what we can do about slowing it down. Multiple sclerosis is a puzzle that never gets finished. So it's important to find a great MS specialist who can teach and inform us about our own individual disease and symptoms. I think it's also important to attend informational events like this one. These programs are also a great way to meet and speak to others, because collectively we are a team of experts ourselves, all traveling down the same MS road. I learn something new every time I meet others with MS, and that's why I love coming to these events. How many of you are hoping that we'll learn something new today? Not from me, but from the doctor. Look where you want to go is the next rule. When riding a motorcycle, I have to look in the direction I want to travel. Look as far down the road as I can, and look around or beyond any of the hazards to avoid hitting them. If I look directly at something in the road, my bike will veer right towards it, and guess what? Anybody? Yeah, I'll hit it. It's no secret that living with multiple sclerosis can be an obstacle in life's road, right? Appearing to block the path to happiness that we were traveling down. Sometimes the obstacle is a dead squirrel. Other times, it's a giant gaping pothole. But no matter what is in the way, the solution can be the same. Look beyond the MS, look past the symptoms, keep moving down that road, and by keeping our eyes on our goals and what makes us happy, we will eventually get to where we want to go. The third rule is lean. A moving motorcycle can only change direction by leaning. If a bike doesn't lean into a turn, it will run off the road and crash. To initiate a lean, I have to push on the handlebar grip in the direction I want to travel, and the bike follows. Everybody knows navigating life with multiple sclerosis can bring us to many forks in the road. And when we arrive at these crossroads, we need to act. We need to push that handlebar, leaning hard towards that new path. Because without that push, all the wishing and hoping in the universe won't help us recalculate our direction. I don't know about you, but I'm no fan of crashing. So I think it's important to not let MS define who we are or control our life's road. The last rule to motorcycle success is live. And I don't mean just sucking oxygen. Riding a motorcycle involves risks. It's not a secret that motorcycle riders have a greater risk of injury should they be involved in a collision. But riders accept these higher risks in exchange for rewards of freedom, adventure, and the excitement and pleasure that they experience from riding. I ride a motorcycle not because I have a death wish, but because I have a wish to live. The same thing can be true when living life with a disease that has so many unknowns. It can be risky to start a new activity, to start a family, or a new career. plan for a vacation or retirement. But unless we take these risks, we may never achieve the rewards of happiness and success that every one of us deserves to experience. So maybe it's time to make that new recipe, or wear those high heels, join that bowling league, buy that convertible, plan that fishing trip, or jump out of that airplane. Because having an unpredictable disease shouldn't mean that we have to play it safe or give up. But maybe it gives us special permission to lean, to look, to learn, and most of all, to live. In 2001, I didn't yet have any multiple sclerosis symptoms, none. But I rode this motorcycle that certainly did. And it was while riding this bike in an 11-day endurance competition, thumping along on a lonely Wyoming highway at a top speed of 25 miles an hour on a poor excuse for a motorcycle, that I almost gave up on one of the greatest crossroads of my life. I was chugging along, limping to the next town, and the drone of the one working cylinder began to take on a very curious verse. Go home, go home, go home, go home, go home, go home, go home. Not a soul on earth gave me a shot in hell of finishing that event, not even the bike's manufacturer. And after a week of breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, the engine's taunting almost convinced me that they were right. But from somewhere deep within, I was suddenly overcome with a surge of energy, and I stood up on the foot pegs, and I opened up my helmet visor, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, "I will not give up! I will not go home!" And I etched this statement across my windshield with a grease pencil, and I vowed no matter what, I was going to finish this event. And without a second doubt, I knew where I needed to go. I looked beyond the problem. I leaned hard into the wind and eventually dragged myself across the finish line. I will forever be grateful for taking the risk, the impossible 1,000,000-to-1 odds of finishing that event on such a unreliable, antiquated motorcycle. That ride, that day, that moment helped shape who I am, and continues to give me strength to believe in myself in the most difficult and trying times. Inside of every one of you here today is that same power and ability to overcome our MS obstacles and to continue on a path towards a wonderful and fulfilling life. What I was able to learn from this story, and I hope you can as well, is that no matter how big the hill, there's always a way around it, over it, or around it. And you may just need to use your heart, your mind, and a grease pencil to get you through it. 10 years ago, I made my MS diagnosis public, and I began a fantastic adventure traveling by motorcycle every day possible while trying to encourage others dealing with challenges in life to recalculate their path as well. My goal is to officially document 1,000,000 miles as an advocate, and my mission is fueled by multiple sclerosis. My mission statement is, well, it's pretty simple. I once was told a cure for MS was 1,000,000 miles away, so I figured I'd go get it and bring it back. Having a brain riddled with holes, having a physical or mental challenge, or riding a piece of crap motorcycle should never confine or define who we are. I know we all have different MS symptoms, and my course of the disease has been quite manageable compared to some. I certainly don't expect anyone in this room to run out, buy a motorcycle, and ride it all over creation. But I do know some of you were passionate about something at some time, and maybe that passion was put aside after getting MS. So I challenge you to revisit that activity or find a related activity and look at it from a whole new angle. Get some help from assistive technology or just a different set of eyes. And I bet you might just see a brand new path to something that you can be excited about as well. There are millions of miles of roads on this earth, each and every one of them intersected with crossroads representing different paths. And therefore, not all of us are supposed to take the fastest route. Slow down, recalculate, detour, wander, or shift, because a roundabout can still get you to your destination, to your goal. And believe me, sometimes that ride, that side trip adventure, will become much more important than the original destination. Well, that's about all I got. I want to thank you all and everybody at home for tuning in. I do post a lot of videos and photos from the road on social media, and growing my audience does help with keeping me on the road. So I appreciate people to check out Long Haul Paul on Facebook, YouTube, and I appreciate it. And thank you all for coming. Are there any questions for me?
That's right. Let's give Paul a round of applause and say thank you. Anybody have a question for Paul about his bike, about himself, about his MS, about anything? If not, there's a couple of questions online. Anybody here? No? All right, I'm going to take some questions on. Oh, there you go. Wait. I got to come to you with a microphone. And I don't have my mask on.
Paul, how many miles have you logged so far? Where are you?
Well, my goal is 1 million miles. I probably should have said kilometers because I'd be almost done by now. I'm at about 550,000. So it's been 10 years since I started, and all those miles are going to events like this or to motorcycle events where I also share my story. If I'm not doing an event, the bike sits in the garage. People think I'm out running circles around my house, but I wanted the miles to count. So to me, it's important that they're all for MS. So I'm at 550, around 550,000. So a little more, little bit past halfway. So.
Thanks, Paul. Person online, 2 different people have questions about some of the fundraisers you do. How do you get the zaniest ideas to do your fundraisers?
So every year or two, I try to do something a little crazy, and so that my friends who know me and know the stuff that I've done in the past will actually pay attention and donate to the next stupid activity I do. So I have 4 stupid world records. And the way that I come up with these ideas is usually like tomorrow when I'm trying to ride through the snow to get home, spending 8 or 10 hours on the bike. I have a lot of crazy ideas, and I usually record them with my voice recorder. And when I get home, half of them go in the trash. But once in a while, I come out with some silly idea that I think would be a great fundraiser. And always looking for suggestions too. I take suggestions if people have an idea they want me to do something, but it's got to be crazy and it's got to be something that people are going to throw money at. You're doing what? All right, here's $20. So I do enjoy doing different types of fundraisers. I also do a couple motorcycle rides every year. I do something called the MS 5000, where people it's almost like the MS Walk, but we're bikers, not hikers. So basically people try to ride their motorcycle over 50 days, as many miles as they can. And then they get their family and friends to donate per mile. And the goal is to try to do 5,000 miles over 50 days. So it's called the MS 5000. And every year that raises between $25,000 and $30,000 for charity. So this will be the 10th year coming up. It's in September, so if you ride a motorcycle and you want to enter that, you can find all that on my website, longhaulpaul.com. So.
Thank you. Next one might be from your wife. I have no idea.
She wants to know if the snowblower is ready to go.
They want to know how your wife feels about all your rides.
I have a very understanding, loving wife because I am on the road a lot. And I'm often riding in not the best conditions and weather and things. So I have a very wonderful young lady at home who I can't wait to get back to and see tomorrow. But it isn't easy. I mean, there's a lot of travel, but there is downtime as well. I have one more event until March, so I'm home pretty much. She's going to get sick of me. I'm home pretty much until March right now. So, but yeah, there's times that I'm gone for a couple of weeks at a time, and it's tough. It is tough. Yeah.
All right. And the last crazy question is, they want to know, when you did that one where you sat on a bike for 24 hours, how you did not go to the bathroom.
I did go to the bathroom. We don't show everything on TV. But it was live. I never got off the bike, but yes, there are ways to go to the bathroom without people seeing.
That's great. All right, that's it. Unless somebody in the audience has a question, you're going to get to ride home quickly.
We're going to end with a toilet question?
You're going to end with the toilet question. That's right. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of these programs. Thanks for all that you do for the MS community.
Let's do it.
All right, so enjoy. Have a good one. Thanks for everybody for everything. Bye-bye.